then teaching the silence era between the Old and the New Testament, chapter 12. A lion who was caught up with his mastery of the jungle decided to make sure all the other animals knew he was king of the jungle. He was so confident that he bypassed the smaller animals and went straight to the bear. "Who is king of the jungle?" the lion demanded. The bear replied, "Why, you are, of course." The lion gave a mighty roar of approval. Next he went to the tiger. "Who is the king of the jungle?" he roared. This tiger quickly responded, "Everyone knows that you are, almighty lion." The lion swelled with pride. Next on the list was the elephant. The lion faced the elephant and levelled his question. "Who is king of the jungle?" he challenged. The elephant grabbed the lion with his trunk, whirled him around in the air 5 or 6 times and slammed him against a tree. Then he pounded him on the ground several times, sat on him once, dipped him in the lake and dumped him out on the shore. The lion, battered and bruised, struggled to his feet, peered at the elephant through his good eye and said, "Look, just because you don't know the answer is no reason to get mean about it." The religious leaders of the silence era were very much like the lion. They pretended to have power and they became self-absorbed. It has been said that some people drink at the fountain of knowledge, while others only gargle. All this pride caused a pattern of religion hypocrisy that was leading to self-destruction and made this period one of the more disappointing eras in the nation's history. The Let's Review: repetition is the key to mental ownership. Fill in the blank to bring the chart up to date on this era. So let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. For the storyline, Adam is created by God, but he blank and blank God's original blank for man. Secondly, let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. Abraham is blank by God to father a blank in blank God to the world. And thirdly, let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. Through Moses, God blank the Hebrew people from blank in Egypt and then gives them the blank. Now fourthly, let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. Joshua leads the blank of the blank blank. And fifthly, let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. Samson and others were chosen as blank to blank the people for blank blank rebellious years. And next, let's do the era, figure and location for the storyline. David, the greatest king in the new blank, is followed by a succession of mostly blank kings and God. Eventually, blank Israel for her sin, sending her into exile. Next, the era, the figure and the location for Daniel gives blank and encourages blank among the blank for the next 70 years. And next, the era, figure and location for Ezra, the blank, the people back from blank to rebuild blank. And lastly, let's fill in the era, figure and location to be completed in this chapter. The storyline summary: Pharisees and others income the Israelites in legalism for the next 400 years. The era is silence, and the summary is Pharisees and others blank the blank in blank for the next blank blank years. Now the expansion is there are 4 major subjects in the silence era, which include the changing guard, the political seers, sects, the third religious sects, and the four messianic hope. Now, the changing guard, the march of nations at the close of the Old Testament, Jerusalem is ruled by Persia. Alexander the Great defeats the Persians in 355 before Christ and establishes Greek culture and the Greek language as a unifying force for that part of the world. When Alexander dies, his kingdom is quartered, but Hellenistic Greek culture is still advanced and remains the dominant influence. When Rome conquers that part of the world, Roman influences are introduced, but for now the Greek influence is still strong. The march of nations passes from Persia to Greece to Rome. The second, the political sects, the Maccabees and Zionts. Throughout the 400 silent years, there are militant Jews who attempt to revolt against foreign rule and make Jerusalem and the surrounding area of Judea an independent country. These include the Maccabees and the Zealots. The religious sects are the Pharisees and the Sadducees. There are two primary religion parties in Jerusalem during this time. Unfortunately, neither offers much guidance and true spirituality, as they are caught up in promoting a religious legalism of external adherence to rules while overlooking inner motivations and attitudes. The Pharisees are orthodox and conservative, and they foster separation between themselves and secular society. The Sadducees are more liberal. They are the party of the Jerusalem aristocracy, and they use their wealth and influence to keep the political waters calm. A ruling board called the Sanhedrin is made of representatives from both the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but the two groups have little in common except their desire for religious freedom and later their arrogantism for Jesus of Nazareth. Now, fourthly, the messianic hope, expectation of a saviour. The Messiah or the Saviour is one who is prophesied throughout the Old Testament to come save the Jews. Some feel they need spiritual salvation and others are looking only for political salvation. For both reasons, the expectation and the hope for the coming of the Messiah is strong during the 400 silent years. Events of the Silence era seem to especially prepare the world for the coming of the Messiah. One, this part of the world has a common language and a common culture which facilitates the spread of messianic message. Two, the Roman Empire has brought this region military peace, an extensive system of roads and sea travel, and a common government so that people can travel extensively without interferences. Three, the Jews are suffering such religious persecution and political humiliation that widespread hope and expectation of our Saviour exists. These facts make the coming of Jesus of Nazareth, claiming to be the Messiah, an event that captures the attention of the entire Jewish world. Now let's do a self-test. What you can learn tomorrow is built on what you learned today. So we have A, the 4 major subjects in the silence area. Let's write the number to match the subject and the description. So the first subject is the changing guard. Let's write down the number and the description for the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now let's do political sects, the number, the march of the nations, and third Thirdly, the religious sects, the number for expectations of a saviour. And lastly, the messianic hope, the number for the Maccabees and Zealots. Now, the storyline summary we have next is for the era of silence, and our summary is the Pharisees and the others blank the blank in the blank for the next blank blank years. Now, let's do the arc of the Bible history. Okay, the geography of the silence era. Now we have to do a part A, one next to Persia, and 2 next to Greece, and a 3 next to Rome. Then draw an arrow from Persia to Greece to Rome to represent the geographical movement of the silence era. Now we have the story of the Old Testament. Let's fill in more areas, figures and locations for a storyline of Adam is created by God, but he blank and blank God's original blank for man. Secondly, let's fill in the era, the figure and the location. Abraham is blank by God to father a blank to blank God to the world. And next, let's do the era, the figure and the location. Through Moses, God blank the Hebrew people from blank in Egypt and then gives them the blank. And next there is the era, the figure and the location. Joshua leads the blank of the blank blank. And next the era, figure and the location. Samson and others were chosen as blank to blank the people for blank blank rebellious years. And next the era, the figure and the location for the storyline. David, the greatest king in the new blank, is followed by a succession of mostly blank kings, and God eventually blank Israel for her sin, sending her into exile. Then nextly the era, the figure and the location. Daniel gives blank and encourages blank among the blank for the next 70 years. And then next, the era, the figure and the location. Ezra blank the people back from blank to rebuild blank. And lastly, the era, the figure and the location. The Pharisees and others blank the blank in the blank for the next blank blank years. Now, congratulations, you have just passed another milestone. You have completed the overview of the historical books of the Old Testament, the ones that tell the story of the Old Testament. Now we will make a link at the poetical books and the prophetical books in the next 2 chapters. Thanks for today. Goodbye.